that just really took me back to the Harry Potter days in a way that I was like I was just kind of like...
With or without you, I'll burn down their world.
It's something they want to let go of, but they can't. It's very strong, it's very meaningful, also very painful.
You know, it pains me to say that Eddie is actually a much better dancer. Can really shake his hips.
But we were shooting parts that are set in, I think, in Guilin. I at least had the memory of having been to Yangshuo and Guilin when I was a bit younger. So I tried to take all that memory and put it into that moment.
So after 4 years of waiting, finally we're about to return in the Wizarding World. So can you describe how excited you are?
I'm pretty excited.
I'm pretty excited also.
There was
I'm more excited.
I don't know. You are more excited. I think I may be more excited.
Okay.
The making of this movie was so much fun. The sets that they'd built and the kind of magic that had been poured on it and the secrets that were held was so wonderful that it's been kind of stressful having to keep that to ourselves.
Definitely. We wrapped over a year ago, I think, at this point. And so it feels like this sort of long process. And finally, it's coming to life.
Out into the world.
Yeah, it's really excited.
As a newcomer, I'm very excited, but you guys must be even more.
Well, I mean, I think there's different kinds of excitement. There. To come into this must be incredible, and to come back and to see old friends and reprise these roles that we love so much has been great. And it wasn't certain whether we'd be able to do it or not. So it's you know, from circumstances. So it was a real gift to be able to work together again and do this.
I'm very excited. It's like I'm like a kid in the candy store. Look at where we are right now. I mean, this is just so cool.
It was a relief, but it was also an honor and a privilege, right? To be doing this while everyone else was, you know, dealing with it.
You know, and we made it through the pandemic, and which was a kind of a challenge. So this one feels more special in some ways for that reason, that we were able to come together in a very challenging time to do what we all do and to have the film ready. And I'm really proud of the film. I think it's a good film. I think it's moving and it's funny and it's kind of emotional, and it's got it's got more beasts in it this time. So it feels nice to kind of get to this point. You hand it over for the audience, and all the responsibility of making it over the last 2 years, all the hard work that everybody's put in. It's sort of like you let it go. And that's a kind of bittersweet experience. And two, it's a lovely moment because you get to share it with people who love the world.
That was a really exciting day being at Hogwarts.
Tingles.
Yeah, tingles. And
Goosebumps.
Yeah, and not only was it amazing to be in the Great Hall, but what really got me was seeing the kids in their wizarding robes. That just really took me back to the Harry Potter days in a way that I was like I was just kind of like really, I love them. Like I could have cried, I think.
And it's also the scale of that room. When we walked in, and I hadn't seen Jude that day, and Dumbledore was at the end, and all the kids were there. Yes. It felt there was no acting required. You just sort of I got all the feels.
Yeah, definitely. It was really fun.
Swift, really fast, everything happens overnight. I know this world through the eyes of my children. So I've seen the films, and now I'm kind of part of the family, and that is a unique experience. It's very strong, it's very meaningful, also very painful. So it's one of those long-term relationship where there's a lot of dead bodies in the closet, let's put it that way. It's something they want to let go of, but they can't.
You know, they passionately believed in a similar ideology when they were much younger. They had a very sort of distinct view of the world that they shared, and then Dumbledore suddenly decided that he felt that ideology wasn't quite the right way forward. And so I think if you've ever been involved in a deep, meaningful relationship with anyone and you split apart from them, it's a sort of exploration of how difficult that is and how challenging it is for any of us, a deep friendship, a deep bond between people, and that's suddenly fractured.
In the last film, a lot of people were shocked by what she did. But then as I thought more and more about what happens in that film, she's abandoned by the people that she loves, and her sister's not there, and she and Jacob are fighting, and Newt humiliates her, and she's also up against a huge amount of prejudice, and Grindelwald offers what seems like an alternative to a world that is broken and is not allowing her to be with the person she loves. And
if I offer a character that is under distress and frustrated, alone, a misfit, if I offer some comfort and an ear that would listen, that's a smart way to get your followers.
Absolutely, you sense vulnerability and you use it, and it was painful, actually. I know that might sound strange, but anytime you are put in a position where you need to look more deeply into yourself or into humanity to learn about someone, I think it's really positive, because it just brings more understanding and into the human condition, really.
When you saw him at the end of the second film, his heart's broken. He's looking off on the horizon. He's wondering if she's going to come back, and that feeling carries over to the third film. He just misses her so much. So you see him pursuing her. So there's that lovely scene in the trailer where we're wearing a tuxedo and everyone's got the gowns, and which is really cool. You get to see him be a hero, you know, in pursuit of his love, which is great. You know, he's such a wonderful character. I get to be a comedian, and I get to be this guy who is like a soldier. It's really cool, and I love playing that scene. That was a combination of what I did in college, you know, walking against the wind and like mime work, combined with the top-notch special effects, and it's like, oh, okay, that's why I learned how to do that, you know, and yeah, it definitely paid off in that scene. It was really cool. I love doing that scene.
Basically, in these films, J.K. Rowling always seems to write a scene in which Newt does a silly dance, and it's become kind of like but you're always given free rein to come up with it. So I sort of worked with this wonderful dancer for weeks on trying to find interesting dances. And in the end, I said, how about I just like wiggle my hips and do something weird with my hands? And that is basically, after all these like complex verging on tap dances, that is what emerged.
It pains me to say that Eddie is actually a much better dancer. He's an oily mover. He can really shake his hips. Sure. We worked with Alex Reynolds, who was the movement coach, and she was the person who taught us how to use our wands for about 2 weeks. And we had lots of variations of the dance, and we somehow settled on this one, which I think was in between an extreme version and a more subtle version. I think it was fun.
You know,
it's an ancient Chinese creature. The Qilin in this, I think, was designed, and it's very famous. Its iconography is very famous. But what the designers did on this was, I think it was the female Qilin that they created, who bows for great power, and for great soul.
Yeah, and that's how they used to choose witches and wizards in this world.
Yeah, and it was amazing for me because I got to sort of work with that creature and the puppets around that they used. Unfortunately, it was all shot in Watford, but we were shooting parts that are set in, I think, in Guilin, which I was lucky enough to travel to years ago.
Really?
So when they then recreated those mountains and the waterfalls in Leavesden, I at least had the memory of having been to Yangshuo and Guilin when I was a bit younger. So I tried to take all that memory and put it into that moment.
I would say the difference with this one is it's slightly more whimsical. It's got more humor.
This film is magical and fun and heartbreaking and really beautiful, and I'm really excited for you to see it.
You have broken hearts, you have open hearts, you have love, you have hate, and you first and foremost, you have a lot of magic.
And you have a lot of fantastic beasts. You actually have.
I'm gutted that we didn't get to come to China this time, which we did last time. Having been there and met the wizarding fans in China, you guys are some of the most passionate and vocal and wonderful wizarding fans. For me, this film takes you back to the coziness, to the mischief, and to the whimsy and the magic that I used to love about going to watch the Potter movies. And with some old friends, some really cute creatures, and some new friends. So we hope you guys enjoy it and have as much fun watching it as we had making it.
Thank you.